Welcome to Bold Voices, a production of the Community Foundation of Broward, where we explore Broward's biggest issues, get to know some of the people and organizations creating a bold impact in our community, and take a deeper dive into the world of local philanthropy with the experts at the Community Foundation of Broward. And now it's time to be bold.
Welcome to Bold Voices, a production of the Community Foundation of Broward. I'm your host, Ellen Jaffe, and joining me, I promised you this was coming, Cathy Donnelly. We spoke to you with Chris Gentili, who's the president and CEO of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Broward County, for whom you have been a patron for many, many years. But you and your husband, James, have your own fund here at the Community Foundation of Broward. In fact, you are called Community Builders. First of all, welcome. I am honored to have you back again.
Thank you, Ellen. It's good to be back with you.
Tell me what brought you to the community. No, let's go back even further. You and James founded the Castle Group Property Management. And as part of that, you had Castle Cares, which was a community outreach. Tell me about that first, and then we'll move on to the foundation.
So I always like to say I had the best job of everyone in the Castle Group. We have over, 2,000 employees at this point, but I had the best job. I ran the philanthropic arm. So my role was to put funds back into the community where we were working and living and support them. So that's how I got involved with Boys and Girls Club. That's how I got involved with all the great agencies serving children and families throughout the state of Florida, because Castle serves not just Broward County, but the state of Florida as well. So
why the focus on children and families? That seems to be a particular passion of yours.
Yeah, children and family. I mean, we all have children. If we don't have them personally, they're in our lives as nieces or nephews, whatever. So I thought that was broad. And for James and I, it was always very important when we started the Castle Group. One of our goals was to employ people. It was a way of giving back. And as we became successful, we wanted to give back in the communities that we were working in, and they were helping us become successful. So we wanted to give back, not just to our employees through their payroll, but things that they cared about as well.
Did you do a survey of your employees to find out what were the issues that mattered to them?
Honestly, Ellen, we really didn't have to, because we were so grassroots at that time. We kind of knew what was needed, and that's one of the reasons Boys and Girls Clubs has been in our lives for so long. They were in neighborhoods where, we could see them. And so we wanted to help those children and families.
What were some of the other organizations that you did a lot of work with?
Well, we're still supporting Pace Center for Girls, another outstanding organization, Junior Achievement, Andy's Pasta Dinner, which is LifeNet for families. There's a lot of organizations here in Broward that a Prestige Club, as an example, Polly Wilkie, who's an amazing woman. She's well into her 80s now. Sorry, Polly, for saying that out loud, but doing incredible work for children as well. So not just the big names, but also the smaller organizations, but definitely the United Way. I'm sitting on the board currently for the United Way of Broward County, another outstanding umbrella organization that has just done extraordinary work in the last 10, 15 years. I mean, they've always done great work, but it's getting better and better and better. So there's so many, and it's exciting to be a part of these organizations. And when you sit as a board member, you're a small part, but you feel like you're actually moving the needle forward and helping the team. We've had so many challenges here in Broward County.
Yeah.
Going way back to Stoneman Douglas and the tragedy that we all suffered through with that, and all then the mental health problems that came not only just from the Stoneman Douglas tragedy, but then we had COVID after that, and gun violence and gangs. And I mean, it's all out there, and our children are exposed. So children and families are who we focus on, but that's very broad. Children and families, they all have animals too, and pets. And
right.
So we kind of give where we feel there's a need or a special project that's really impressive, that's going to touch a lot of people, and it's going to have impact. We look for outcomes, and we look for strong teams, good CEOs. There's all different reasons you get involved with organizations, but those are the main things that attract us.
These sound like a lot of the things that Community Foundation of Broward is able to provide to you. It's one thing to say, yes, I want to donate money, but how do you vet an organization? How do you determine which organizations are using their money in the best way possible? And this is one of the things that Community Foundation of Broward does. How did you end up here bringing your funding to them, starting your own fund, and finding out that you can direct the money to go where you want it to go? It's not like you're just randomly donating, and whatever they do with it, they do.
That's a great question. And for me, as you said, I was working through Castle Cares. So I was kind of doing all of that work myself. And when I realized, when Nancy Thies told me that she has a whole team, people that can actually do the job I was doing, they'll do the site visit, they'll do the vetting, they'll advise me whether it's a good choice. I understand you want to give to X, but did you understand there's a problem or whatever it might be? I was reading all the annual reports myself to make sure that they were solid, which I enjoyed for the first couple of years. But, after a while, and again, once I was exposed to the facts of Community Foundation, and I really didn't know what they were doing until it was put in front of me. And Nancy literally said, Cathy, we can do all that for you. I'm like, wow.
That's why we're here now, letting people know.
Oh, and I think there are many people that have heard of Community Foundation and don't know what they do, or they think they don't have enough money. They think you have to have millions and millions of dollars.
Not at all.
Exactly. So I invite everyone to have the conversation with Community Foundation, come in and speak to their team and let them advise you on whether it's something that's a fit for you. But for James and I, it was a beautiful fit at the right time. The other thing with Community Foundation, I always felt like if I was doing it by myself and something happened to me, then what happens to the funds that we've been putting out? As an example, I want to make sure the funds continue to go to the children and families that we have been providing funds for throughout the year. So if something happens to me, this will continue through the great work of the Community Foundation.
Can you explain that process?
Well, I had the great fortune last year to be involved with the Mary Porter grant process. So I was part of a team here at Community Foundation with other donors, so staff and other donors. And we actually went through the RFP process, and then we did site visits to the various organizations that were asking to be funded, which was an amazing experience. So that gave me great comfort. What if my children choose not to take over the role that I play and James plays in the community, which would be, possible. The Community Foundation will be able to just take the work that we're doing and expand on it and leverage our funds for years and years and years to come.
And that's the beautiful thing about it, because it is in perpetuity, and because they manage it so well, theoretically, you could start with just one donation and let that keep building and building and building. In fact, they told me a great story. The author Lawrence Sanders had a fund that he started here, and he passed away. It kept building to the level that he became a community builder posthumously.
Yes, I remember that. Yes, but isn't that fantastic?
Right.
You just never know. That's right, exactly. And they do such a good job of bringing people together as well. So you meet other funders, so they're like-minded, maybe not for the same causes, but then we talk to each other and we go, I didn't know that I could get involved in something like the LGBTQ community. They're doing extraordinary work at Community Foundation with that community right now when they really, really need that extra boost. So I'm so proud of that. And even though I personally maybe I'm not involved in whatever the organization might be myself, I feel like the work that Community Foundation is doing offers the opportunity for me to get involved, when I have some more funds to put out into the community.
Were there any challenges in coming here? I can imagine that some people, like you said, I don't have the money, or they think it's complicated. How do I set it up? I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's an intimidation factor, and I think I personally felt it. I think James was much more savvy to exactly what was going on, and I was reluctant a little bit in the beginning to give up my role, and they made me feel very comfortable. Listen, Cathy, you can do as much as you want or as little as you want. And I'm doing less and less, and they're doing more and more, which is a beautiful thing. So I really do think they do an outstanding job of making people feel welcome, making people feel comfortable, and there's no pressure. So
when you say you're doing less and less, I have to laugh because you are involved with so many organizations. So maybe you're doing less with the Castle Group, which you and James scooted away from, and yet you are still so involved in community work. Tell us about all of the different organizations.
I've reached a point in my life, I have more time to give to these organizations, and so many of them are doing such great work. So Urban League, as an example, I'd like to get more involved with the work they're doing. I've always admired them. I've always funded them. But, to do boots on the ground kind of when you're working full time is hard to do. So there's just so many here in Broward County, Children's Services. And what I love about them is they're the umbrella for so many agencies. They do a lot of work with foster care, and I'd like to get more involved in that. So to me, it feeds my brain to learn and how we can make a difference. And even if it's a small difference, not everybody has to give funds. They can be volunteers. There's just so many different ways to help in this community.
And you talk about it feeding your brain. How does it feed your heart?
One wouldn't be without the other, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's absolutely heartwarming to know that your small contribution can make a huge difference in someone's life. We've seen that over and over and over again.
That was going to be my question. You're giving sort of on a grand level. And at what point are you able to see an individual that you have had an impact on who has benefited and grown and thrived as a result of your commitment to an organization?
Oh my goodness, that's such a great question. It just popped into my head, 10 years ago, we had an event at our home. We were doing something for the Boys and Girls Club at raising funds, of course, and they had brought some of the kids with them. And this young man came up and said, you won't remember me, but I remember you. You would bring the snacks. And they used to call me the skinny snack lady. I think it was skinny white snack lady. And so he goes, do you remember me? And of course I did. And he said, well, I want you to know, I'm the youth of the year this year at Boys and Girls Club. And to be youth of the year, he was going to go on to do great things. So
right.
Yes. And honestly, I just trust that the organizations, they do really care about those kids. So they are doing a great job to make sure that all the kids get stewarded. So I don't think about it from a Cathy and James point of view, and we're not looking to get anything back. We know that if we give our funds to the right organization, they're going to leverage it to make sure. You heard Chris when we spoke. He was so passionate. He literally had tears in his eyes when he was talking about the kids. And he's been, working with them for years and years and years. So those are the kind of people that I meet every day, whether it's at PACE or whether it's at JA or any of the other Kids Safe. We work with kids in human trafficking, with United Way, doing great work with opioids and all different things. It's not just getting toys for the holidays. The veterans we support through the United Way who do extraordinary work. Yeah. One of the things I love about living in Broward County, Ellen, is we are so collaborative here. We all work together. And I always say, if it doesn't work in Broward, give it to somebody in Broward. And if it doesn't work here, it's not going to work anywhere. Everybody comes together and helps. It's extraordinary.
It is. I've seen so many places where it's competitive. And I just want to say, but if you put your efforts together, think of how you're compounding the benefits to the people that you serve. Yeah. And that's what's happening. And Community Foundation of Broward is a big part of that by bringing organizations together, and now with their nonprofit Center for Excellence.
Oh, that's extraordinary. Yes, that's very, very exciting. And, they didn't have to do that. They're like, how can we help the folks that are helping our kids and our families? So it's a brilliant opportunity, and we're very, very proud of that.
Do you ever have organizations come to you and request grants?
To me personally, not as much anymore.
Okay.
Because Community Foundation is a bit of a buffer for that, which I appreciate.
Right.
But yes, that was my role at the Castle Group. So yes, many, many, many organizations. And that's the challenging part when you're a funder and you have to go through yourself and say no to people because you only have a budget. It doesn't matter how much money you have, you still have a budget. Right. So you have to do the best you can with what you have. So saying no was the hardest part of my job. And now I don't have to say it as often. Community Foundation manages it for me. So I find that very refreshing. And if I'm ever kind of stuck, I can always say, we'll check in with Amanda at the Community Foundation. And then, it kind of takes me, away from the immediate situation. So
what I'm finding really fascinating is you're talking about everyone on a first name basis.
Oh.
And that is indicative of the partnership and the relationship that Community Foundation of Broward builds with their donors at whatever level. Okay, you're a community builder. There are other levels of donation, but each one is a partner and a friend, and they make you feel at home. I know they have luncheons in the office. And
they do such a great job. Yeah. And in the beginning, when I first, I'd say for the first 2 years, I was talking to Amanda every day about various things for my fund, but she's done such a good job coaching me, and they've improved so many of their technologies that the portal now for a donor is so simple. I don't even have to call Amanda. I can do it myself. I can move things around. So they really do make it easy for you. And if you don't want to use the portal and you're not savvy on your computer, whatever, then that's okay. They're there to help as well. So I think they probably do 50-50. Some people they're very hands-on with and others don't require it or don't want it. So they can really cater to an individual, whether they want full-time help or just an odd phone call or whatever. But for those people, they also do a great job of inviting us in and doing lunch and learns and things like that. And you don't have to, but if you would like to, and I always love to do those things because you get to be with the other funders. Again, we make friends amongst ourselves, which is lovely, especially when people are new and coming to the community. They might not know anybody. What a great place to come. The Community Foundation, you'll meet people with similar mindsets, safe environments, etc. So there's a lot of advantages to having a fund at Community Foundation, but one of the most gratifying has been the people that we've met who have become friends as funders as well.
I can't thank you enough for your involvement, for your commitment to Broward County and your passion for it. It just shines.
I cannot imagine that anybody wouldn't want to get involved with Community Foundation of Broward County. They are top-notch, from Jennifer, this amazing CEO that we have here, all the way down to whoever welcomes you as you came in. And when I came in today, I was warmly welcomed.
Oh, Latoya is just, she shines.
Yeah, and she's just a perfect example, Latoya, of all of the staff here.
Yes.
I've not met someone that hasn't been warm and generous and gracious. It's a great place to be, and they're great stewards of our funds. So I invite everybody to join us.
I thank you for that. And again, for all of your support for the organizations that are really making a difference in our community and helping level the playing field for those who need it the most. Cathy Donnelly, formerly with the Castle Group, a community builder with your husband, James, at the Community Foundation of Broward. You are a gift to us, and I appreciate your time.
That's very nice. Thank you so much, Ellen. We've enjoyed chatting with you. And James wanted me to say thank you for all that you do as well. So we appreciate you. We've been watching your podcasts, and they're awesome. So
thank you
Thank
so
you for
much.
Including us.
And my best to him as well.
Thank you.
Kirk Engelhardt, Vice President of Marketing and Communications for the Community Foundation of Broward. You must come join me because otherwise I cannot wrap up this edition of Bold Voices.
Ellen, thank you. I always love listening to the interviews, but, really it's a joy. I look forward to talking to you too.
Well, thank you. Likewise. And, I've said before that this whole Bold Voices podcast was your brainchild. And for that, I thank you because I get to meet amazing people like Cathy Donnelly, who we first spoke to over a year ago when we interviewed Cathy and Chris Gentili from Boys and Girls Clubs together because she was such a great patron for them. And then finding out later how she and her husband, James, are so wrapped up in the Community Foundation. Maybe you want to give us a little bit of that background.
Sure. Well, for Cathy and James, it's more than just being involved with Community Foundation. They're involved across Broward with many different organizations that they're passionate about. And they're the kind of couple that when they're passionate about something, they're all in. They are all in. And it's more than just writing a check. It is serving on boards of directors. It is volunteering. It's helping and getting their hands dirty, involved with an organization and offering all of their talents and their time in addition to dollars. And a perfect example is James was on our board of directors. Not only was he on our board of directors, he was chairman of our board of directors.
Right.
And it was during a challenging time. It was through COVID. And we were also going through a CEO search, and he was chairman of the search committee. So his fingerprints are today all over the success that we're having as a foundation because he found our amazing CEO, Jennifer Flannery Anderson. And that's just one example. Cathy has served on boards of directors throughout our community, and both of them are just, as far as I'm concerned, they're a powerhouse philanthropy couple. And we have done some research here at the Community Foundation, and the findings will be coming out soon. But one of the things here in Broward, people give more than just money. They give their time, they share their talents, their wisdom. They really want to make sure that the organizations they support are successful on all fronts, and they're willing to do more than just cut a check. So there are many people in Broward who do this, but the shining example is Cathy and James Donnelly, of course.
Yeah, people want to be personally involved.
Even as a community foundation, we did a little bit of internal research with our own staff because I said, wouldn't it be really nice to know what organizations we, as a staff of a community foundation, are personally involved in? So I wrote down a list of all of the organizations I'm a part of outside of work. And then everybody did that. And the spreadsheet was massive. And when you look at it, it's like, wow, we're not only talking the talk, we're walking the walk, and we are involved. So not only do we do this for a living, but we do it on our own, outside of work, with the issues and the organizations we're passionate about.
That's what makes the Community Foundation of Broward so special, and why people trust you, and why you continue to have such an impact in a community, which is what we call Broward County. It's not just a county, it's a community.
My hometown. I want to see it be the best it can be. And that's why donors come to us. That's why philanthropists partner with us, because they feel the same way too. And we're able to work together to make it happen.
All right. Well, if anyone is interested in working with the Community Foundation of Broward, if Cathy didn't give you enough of a shout out, find out for yourself at cfbroward.org, cfbroward.org. And next month on Bold Voices, we're going to really start the celebration of your 40th anniversary.
Yes, 40 years of the Community Foundation. We have a big celebration coming up to commemorate the event. And there's so much to talk about, so many great things happening. We're celebrating in some very unique ways, including a lot of people in the community and a lot of nonprofit organizations in that celebration as well. So I'm really excited to share more about that.
Okay, I look forward to it. Thank you, Kirk Engelhardt, Vice President of Marketing and Communications, Community Foundation of Broward, cfbroward.org. And join us again for our next podcast at Bold Voices.
Thank you for listening to Bold Voices. We hope you've enjoyed this episode and hope you'll be inspired to join us in creating a better Broward for all. If you'd like more information, visit us online at cfbroward.org, and remember to always be bold.